First of all, I'd like to thank the Academy. But no, I mean the Hall of Fame committee for starting this tradition at Pleasantville High School. It's really awesome. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I am honored and humbled to follow in my dad and my uncle's footsteps to the Hall of Fame. Thank you, John Gaines over there, for the initial introduction in March. You really made me sound good. Thanks also to the Pleasantville community, the teachers, the coaches, the staff, and teammates for providing support. Not just for myself as I navigated the halls of Pleasantville High School, but for all the students who walk them. Most of all, I want to thank my family, sitting at table 10 and 11 over there, my brothers, grandparents, and especially my parents, for their constant support and encouragement. It didn't matter if we broke a lamp, or missed a chore, or put a hole in the wall. Nothing was more important than practicing. I remember one time Mom asked Dad when he got home from work, "Have you seen what the kids have done?" Well, we had worked all day with shovels and rakes, digging up the backyard on Highway 92 to make a basketball court. The ball simply would not bounce right on the grass at all. So we were going to make a dirt court, and we did that. In a whole day, we dug up the whole entire backyard. Dad would take us up to East Elementary School for pickup games in the middle of the winter, outside in Iowa. We would run to the truck between games to warm up. Pleasantville was a great place to grow up. And as I get older, and older, and older, I realize that more and more. It really is a small town with a big heart. No matter where I've been or where I go, I'm always proud to say I'm from Pleasantville, Iowa. You've heard the saying, it takes a village. It does take a village, a community, exactly like Pleasantville. So, thank you so much.
Appreciate the introduction. So, a lot of what Carla said, I want to reiterate. Thanks for, the nomination to the committee, whoever's in charge of doing that. I know it's a hard decision to make. A lot of great athletes here at Pleasantville. A lot of them sitting right here at the stable that I had the privilege to play with. So that was unbelievable time in my life, and it does take a village, to bring somebody up in the proper way, right? The tradition of excellence that Pleasantville has always, exemplified for, and everybody in this room is who makes, those people excellent, right? It takes everybody to do that, and I was lucky enough to be part of a group of people, most of them in this room today, some of them, couldn't make it, I'm sure that wish they could, to allow this to happen, because it just doesn't happen. There's no way I would have thrown for, 5 yards if it wasn't for, this table and my brother, everybody else to make that happen. So it's pretty amazing. Horace is over there. I watched him play basketball growing up, and boy, talk about a competitor. Where do you learn that? And he talked a little bit too, which, I don't know if that was, Dad always appreciated that part. I took that a little bit too, but, this group of people right here, exemplify, makes me who I am and allows this type of thing to happen. I think it's really neat. So, looking back, my family, Dad, Nate hit on it, obviously. You sleeping in the gym over there while we shot baskets at night, teaching us, what discipline means, how to work hard. And I still remember, Carla said that about, working in the yard doing work. Dad had us one morning, I suppose we played terrible in football the night before or something, but it was 8 a.m. and that was the best time to get leaves out of the rocks in the front yard, right? 8 a.m. in the morning, guys, let's go. It's time to get up. Nate and I are like, what in the heck's going on? We probably only won by 2 touchdowns the night before or something. So, but we get half dark, we kind of have it somewhat cleaned up. And I'll never forget this, and I take it and I say it over and over all the time. Dad's like, you guys need to take pride in what you do. Clean this up. It has stuck with me forever. And I say it to my staff now, I say it to my kids, when you're doing something, take pride in what you do. And it always has just stuck with me. And the tradition of excellence that is here at Pleasantville, I always say it to myself over and over and over every day. So I appreciate that. Those hard lessons like that make us who we are is fantastic. And it's this type of community that has allowed that to happen. Mom, thanks for keeping me alive. I mean, everybody that knows us knows what that means. I don't know. A few times he was kind of upset with us for whatever reason. I'm sure we weren't doing anything wrong. I'm sure we're perfect, always being there for us and, supporting us in everything we did and making us successful growing up. Bringing 2 gallons of milk home every night for us to get through for the next day. Nate, obviously, I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for you. We did a little bit of throwing, a little bit of shooting, a little bit of everything together growing up. So, loved playing football with you at Central and everything around that. It was awesome. Jeff, he always, was the guy who kept the balls perfectly dry for the football team. Right? He was the best ball boy we ever had. He was number 1. And I've got to say, it was, and Judd, it was hilarious. We always text on the way to Notre Dame. We'll save that for later. But Jeff was phenomenal. He always wore the 16 and was out there. The ball boy was fantastic. And then my brother Brian, he was obviously a state champion in his own right in the 4x4. His team wasn't quite fast enough to beat us, but it was pretty good too. And obviously Nate was such a great athlete and being around him. So and then growing up, we would run, just so we lived across town, and we would run footballs from Watkins Street to the elementary school in the freezing cold, handing them off to each other. We'd run it back all the way from over there in the cold, so, it was amazing. My wife and kids, supported me for, a lot of years. Mandy took care of me when I had my shoulder surgery in college, and, got me through that rehab back up and going, so appreciate that. And then my boys are all already better athletes than I ever was, so they're showing me and trying to get me to excel every day, helping them out. So amazing. And my grandma's here, and my aunts and uncles and friends were always there all the time. Sister-in-laws and friends that have made all this possible. It's amazing. And then my extended family, I say, Coach Danks and Pam, unbelievable what you guys did for me over the years. Pam taking me to games when I was a little kid, and Ronnie showing me the Cowboys cheerleaders over there. That's why I've always been a Cowboys fan too. Judge got me started on that. So, and John, obviously he, employed me and coached me and, brought me up the right way, taught me, how to do things right, and always had, even though he wouldn't wave at you when he drove by, even though you're doing forever, and he'd look at you, you're driving his mower down the road, you kind of wave at him and look at you, and keep walking. Unbelievable, coaching Pee Wee baseball, and, all that stuff. And then they'd go to every game, at Central, all the way, through college. They were always there to support us, and, getting to see these guys. A lot of these guys played in college too, and then, they were there always supporting all of us. Robert and Kim Friday, I have to mention them. Every football game, wasn't it? Except for Winfield, because Nikki was getting married that day.
First off, Mark, obviously thank you for the words. A very, very nice introduction, and certainly don't feel worthy of those words, but I do appreciate it very much. Again, it kind of sounds like a broken record, but to the Hall of Fame committee, a couple things. Number one, thank you for even bringing my name up and for consideration. And then number two, actually all agree that Scott and I and the other two deserve to be in here. So really, really appreciate that. I got a chance to come over here last year. Actually, my dad was part of the first class and was just really, really impressed with you guys putting this together. So I want to say thank you to Mark and to Joel, and I know Ronnie was a big part of it last year. I think it's something that was long overdue for Pleasantville, with the caliber of student athletes, teachers, coaches that we've had, and key contributors really, that we've had come through the school. Something I think that is just long overdue, and it's a great way to honor those people. So thank you guys, because I know it's a ton of work. Might seem like it doesn't take a lot of time, but I talked to Ronnie this week, and if everybody really knew how much time they put in this, and then I know there's a lot of people involved in the committees, but it does take quite a bit of time to put this on, so we really, really appreciate this. One reason why I said it does, that I think it's overdue is I'm one of those guys we talked about before, going through the hallways. I have the great privilege, and it's one of the joys of my life now, is I have 4 kids and a wife, and I'll introduce them here in a second, but I spend a lot of time at a lot of different schools, and the very first thing that I typically do before a game, maybe between games or after games, is I go through their Hall of Fame. Social media wasn't really around when I was in high school, probably thank God, and it wasn't really around in college, so it's always fun to go through, and I get to be in a lot of schools around the Des Moines Metro and the area, and just to kind of look back and kind of reflect and see some names and that I may be forgotten. So I think it's really neat that we did that, so thank you. I'm gonna make my kids embarrassed here. My wife, Jana, is not here. She is with my 11-year-old daughter out in Colorado. We have some legit cattle ranching friends that they do a cattle roundup every year, and unfortunately the weeks kind of coincided, so they're out there with them and doing a little cattle drive and bringing the cattle down out. And it's something that they really, really enjoy, so I did not want them to miss that. My youngest son, Easton, who is 14, is actually over in Cedar Rapids playing baseball. He's probably done by tonight, but obviously couldn't make it back. And I did drag along. Why don't you two stand up real quick? This is Lane. Lane is 18. He just graduated from Indianola. He was active in baseball, tennis, FFA, numerous other clubs. And then Josie is a 16-year-old sophomore, just turned 16. She's active in track. She's a hurdler. Makes her dad her grandpa pretty proud, I should say. And then in volleyball and show choir. So thank you guys for coming. And I'll make this brief. I know I only have a few minutes or 5 minutes or so, but I did go home last night and just wrote down a few bullet points that I wanted to touch on really quick. And I got a chance to come over, and Joel was nice enough to give us a little tour of the facilities yesterday. And I know I only live in Indianola, so it's not that far away, but I don't get back to Pleasantville very often. And got a chance to go through the elementary yesterday, which I haven't been in probably 25 years. And then got a tour of the new track and football field, and kind of how it all ties in with the baseball complex, softball complex. And just wanted to give you guys a shout out for getting it done, like actually getting it done. And I wrote down, it's a first class complex that benefits everybody. And I think it's something that everybody in this community will benefit from. You watch the drill team, the band, the baseball team can use it when it's wet. And I just wrote down the vision to get that done. It goes back to like the vision of the new gym, which our new gym is what, 50 years old probably, somewhere in there? It's our new gym. But the vision back when they did that in '72 to build a huge gym in Class 1A, I'm sure everybody was like, what are they doing? But man, the way it lays out, and just to go across it yesterday, I thought it was awesome. So I would encourage everybody in the community to get behind that and to just say, what's next? What can we do next? How can we continue to make this better? Because I really think that when people come here, I mean, and people in the community, they're gonna look and say, man, why didn't we do this 5 or 10 years ago? Because that's a first-class complex, and I've been to a lot of fields. So anyway, congratulations getting that done, and it's really, really neat to see. So, you know, I stand up here, and this is a Hall of Fame, and it's recognition, and that's really cool. And it's really neat to see all my buddies here, all the families, and all the awards. But it's not really what I take out of this, and not what I focus on. The last bullet point that I wrote, and it's probably what's important to me because I have 4 kids now, is I wrote down how lucky we were to have the leadership that we did. And it's one thing that I take now, and what I mean by that is top down. I'm starting top with Coach Dennis and Coach Gorselman, and you know, the Coach Calhoun, the Teddy Myers, and the Rich Tom, and I don't like to name names because you'll forget somebody, but you look at all the success that we had through the 80s and the 90s, and I think it's a direct correlation to the people that were there. And to me, that's what's most important. I think those guys were feeding into us. You know, you look at Scott, and Brock, and Ryan, and Adam, and Chris, and there's numerous other ones here, but man, these guys led in the right way, and I'm just so proud of that. And if I wrote down a bullet point, youth sports. If you want to see people bleed the wrong way, it's not very hard to go find it. You know, and a lot of these guys know what I'm talking about. You can go to a youth sports event, and you know, whether it's the teachers, whether it's the coaches, whether it's the parents not doing it the right way. And I just, you know, I look at it, and I think that's one thing that has made Pleasantville and the community so successful, that these guys fed into everybody. And it's the one thing that I take away, and I'm probably most grateful for. So again, Coach Thanks, Coach Gorseman, you guys, everybody that's here, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. So anyway, to the Hall of Fame committee, thank you very much also.
I do want to say that I'm really happy when I heard I was in that we're in this gym. This is I'm the last class I played here. Man, now I know why I didn't get tired of running sprints. I don't understand that, but more importantly, I was worried we were going to go to the new one. And when that was constructed the summer after I graduated, I was on that crew that worked on that. And I basically tended bricks, but once in a while I had to hammer a nail in it. And I was afraid we were going to go over there, and I said, Karma's going to make that thing fall down. I'm really glad that we are over here. I know Coach Danks. You know, my beloved Dutch didn't play today, they had a bye. My beloved Cyclones lost, so I don't really care about your beloved Hawkeyes. In all seriousness, this is an honor, and you know, Robert, thank you. I want to thank Marcy, Rob, when the video came out, and you mentioned you know, the National Hall of Fame, and I'm not just saying this. I think this one's more important, you know, in a different way. Because of the fact that my sister went here too, my parents grew up here. And you know, I do want to say congratulations to Carla. I watched you play after I graduated, and you are true to my heart because you are the most important person in your family athletically. I don't care what the others say. I have 2 daughters, 3 granddaughters, and I coach women, and what you did at a time where it was hard to do, remarkable career. Mr. Corselman, I saw you play a lot at Central's on, you know, watched, and yeah, the Mud Bowl, we were playing basketball as assistant basketball coach, and we weren't very good, so during the timeout, we were trying to figure out what was going on, you know, with your game out there. And Grant got to talk to you a little bit, and, you know, phenomenal. Just think of what you would have been if you had stayed in Marion County instead of gone to Fort Worth. Seriously, this is an honor. And I want to thank all the teachers that I had over the years. I'm the old one here, so I'm going to say I have memories, but I don't remember them all. So I'm going to try to give the ones that I do. Coach Danks, you all saw the finished version of Ron Danks when he had more experience. I saw the beginning version of it, and he was the first, I think we were the first boys basketball team when I was a junior. And we had an inexperienced coach, and we didn't have a whole lot of time. We had a really good time. But I don't know if Coach remembers this, but I was kind of a rebel, and I love long hair. I just, that's what we did, and I was proud of it. And so we're playing in this gym, and I had a pretty good night, and the next day I get called into the office, and hey, good performance, but your hair is jumping up and down too much, and it's not a good look. What? Yep, we think you ought to get a cut. So Coach calls my mom and dad, and you're not cutting it. And I didn't cut it, and then pretty soon we get called into the administration. Okay, we came up with a compromise. So he gets this hairspray, and literally he pats it down like it would not move. For the next game, I have a great game, doesn't flop, administration doesn't care. So I want to thank Coach for coming up with good ideas. I'm still playing out and cut my favorite hair. But then if you look at my senior picture, which I encourage you not to, for the sake of my mom, it got butchered, and it's a picture that I don't show anybody. All right, on a real serious note, I do want to make sure I don't go too long, but it's really important for me to kind of talk about where I am and how I got here, and Pleasantville was a big part of that. The committee, thank you very much. The people that I have here, they've seen me, but I'm not me without some of the people that are here. A lot of people that taught me are no longer here, but I still have memories of it and how influential they were for me, and what the other two said, or the three said. But when I look here, I have Larry Hobble, who, by the way, is the SID at Central. So when you read all those good articles, that's where they come from. Larry's the only person I know that I make so many mistakes in the middle of the game. I make coaching errors, and he knows them. You can see them, and sometimes it even costs us a win. I'm not near as good as people think. I just have really good players. And when I make a really, really bad coaching decision, Larry can write it in such a way that it seems like, wow, I'm still really good. Trevor and Lindsay, friends for a long time, and Trevor is the voice of the Dutch, and I'm very biased, but I think if you listen to him do games, I have the privilege of doing some of the Central home games on the air with him, and that's a great deal of fun. Sally Vanderlin's been a family friend forever, really close to my mom and dad and Heidi. Josh, who is my son-in-law, who stepped out with, oh wait, there he is, back there. I want to say a special thanks to him because his grandfather passed away this week, and the funeral was this morning that we went to, and for him to still take the time to come now, I appreciate that, Josh. And he's with Emmy, which I'll talk about in a minute. But my two daughters, Kristen and Suzanne, I had the privilege of coaching them in high school when I coached Ball High, and it was. I can't even begin to tell you what that's like. And Suzanne was an 8th grader, Kristen was a senior. We were in the wrong class at Pella. That's the year we were in 5A, and we ran into a pretty good Des Moines Lincoln team. And then Kristen went on to Central, so did Suzanne. Kristen played softball, and to have your daughter start at second base when you win the national championship, which is a freshman, pretty hard to top. And now they're done. Now it's granddaughters, and to have three, and now I go watch them play, and whatever they play, whatever sport it is. But as importantly as it's fun for them to come and watch Central play. They come in the dugout. They idolize our players, and to see the impact that the women that I coach now have on the grandchildren that I have is really, really special. And then my wife Alicia. She's also, they call it associate, she's the co-coach. And she's the one that has to sit behind me in the dugout while I'm calling pitches, and I get agitated at an umpire. And she tries to grab, it makes my filter work. My filter sucks, quite frankly. See, my filter's is not very good. It just comes out sometimes. But I don't know if any of you have coached, but to be able to coach with your wife at a significant level where winning is important, and you have relationship development with female athletes that we're coaching, it's a joy. Not always, but most of the time it's a joy. And we talk about the game a lot, and we have mostly the same thoughts about how we want to do things in terms of the team, and we have some differences. But one thing I realized right away that was a major difference. When we get done with a game, whether it's at home and we go home or we're on the road and go to the hotel, like I can't get over it. If it's a loss, I just relive it and relive it and relive it. If it's a win, it's like I just am ecstatic. I want to keep talking about it. I want to replay it because you don't always get those. And I found out early that when I went to bed, like I'm one of those that I have to take like 2 hours to get to sleep. I'm not a great sleeper. So when it's a game, I'm processing. I found out very early that Alicia can fall down, be on the pillow, and out in 2 minutes. So we had a particularly difficult game, and I'm laying on the pillow and I'm talking about, what do you think? Should we put this person, that person in? Geez, we got that call and stuff, and thinking if it had gone the other way, maybe. I'm having a really good conversation. I realized quickly it was by myself. Because she was not paying attention because she was out. And so there are some things that are really beneficial when you have your life being an assistant coach or co-coach, but sometimes the sleep pattern is a little bit different. That gets me to the last thing I want to say is how I kind of got from playing at East Elementary, all the friends. It was really great for me to have many of my classmates contact me, whether it be through text or Facebook or social media, and congratulate this happening. Because I played with some really good athletes. Rhonda Summers, phenomenal girls basketball player. John Kurtz, one of the best athletes the school has ever had in track. And when I think about that, and I think about being in junior high, the people that I had, I think about high school, and I wasn't the athlete that these people are. But I remember when we had games, and that's why I love playing here. You could have 100 people here, and it seemed like you were playing at a 15,000 person stadium because it was noisy. But I remember going uptown, after school before a game, and everybody that you saw would say good luck. And I remember when the game was over, win or lose, you'd walk out somewhere, we're still standing around, hey, nice game. And it's something that's really, really important, and that kind of registered with me as I moved on from Pleasantville and went to Central and then to Iowa State, and I had coaching and teaching stops at Olin, Nesco, Zarian, and then Pella. And when I came to Pella to coach boys basketball and teach and be a guidance counselor and also coach the girls softball team, that's kind of what I planned to do. And then one night I got a call, and it was Ron Skipper. And Coach Skipper said, hey, President Weller and Weller both have passed away. And Gary Boyne, who at the time was our head women's basketball and softball coach, said, we'd like to have breakfast with you. I said, okay. And so we went for breakfast, and an hour later, I was the Central softball coach. And from there, as I said, the rest is kind of history. But I have to say something else about Coach Skipper, because we do have a lot of Central connection here. There was a time where when we won our first national championship, and President Weller and Coach Skipper were in the outfield. And literally when we won, they, as best as they could, jumped the fence and came running in and just gave hugs and tears rolling down their eyes. I mean, just tears rolling down their eyes, because a women's team, even though they were football connected as the AD and football coach, and President Weller was a football person when he came from home, they were just ecstatic. And that taught me a lot about Coach Skipper, and he's probably the greatest mentor that I ever had in the coaching ranks anyway. And one time I was offered a job at Creighton. I thought, wow, Creighton, more money, bigger school. And Coach Skipper heard that he thought I was leaning toward taking it. He said, can I meet with you? I said, sure. So he came in and we spent 2 hours. We talked and talked and talked. And he said, don't always think bigger is better. He said, keep your feet where you are. And then he said, make the big time where you are. And I thought about Pleasantville. This is a really small atmosphere. We were 1A, 2A, I know when Burl and Boyd Dorman played, there wasn't the A and 1A, they all had to play together, but now it's classified. And yet to me, when you win here, and you win a state championship, or you win a conference championship, it's no different than Western Wind Valley winning their championship. And he taught me that at Central too. He thought, okay, you win it at Central, wow, it's like at Alabama. And without dropping names, we know Coach Murphy well, we know Carol Hutch well, we know Karen Meekley well. And they say when you win a national championship here, and they win it there, the only difference is they have it on ESPN. It's the same joy. And so make the big time where you are. And my life went in a circle because Pleasantville taught me that, and Central College taught me that. And the last thing I'll say is now we're in kind of a hotbed of recruiting for 2023, so people are making home visits, and I'm 60 or 80 years old, so I'd ask the question too, are you gonna retire? First thing I said, well, someday. I said, no, in the next 4 years. And I said, well, why would I retire when I'm one of the few people in life that are privileged to get up every morning, go to work, and do something I love to do, and get paid for it? So the answer is no. And so all of that circle started at East Elementary, and all the stuff that I was taught in Pleasantville, not just from the administration and the teachers and the coaches, but also the classmates that I had. I tried to make this a very special time during my first grade, so during my 11 years there. And I want to close by mentioning my mom and dad, and Heidi. Heidi was a softball player. She went to the state tournament in Fort Knox. Jolene's daughter was her catcher. I got a chance to watch her play, and she was my biggest fan, and I was her biggest fan. And you know, it's hard when somebody at 38 and they find out you've got a disease that is kind of taking it away. And I know she would love to be here, as Robert said. When my mom passed in 2015, same thing. I know that, I mean, I wish she were here, and she's probably listening. She's probably doing one of her things. Oh, George, you were so good. I mean, I could never do it any longer. You know, and I said, thank God somebody thinks that. And then my last mention is my dad, Larry, who died in 2020. The most unassuming, kind, humble human being that I have ever been around. And I couldn't be half as good as he was. And yet he was not an athlete. He worked 2 jobs till I was 18, just so I could be an athlete. And he was always at the games. He was always sitting in the stands, cheering it on. And one of the best gifts I ever got in 2015 when my mom passed away, and then after my dad passed away, we got something from the team that said Larry and Gertrude still the biggest Central College softball fans. And so them being Pleasantville lifers brought me to Pleasantville, and for them I'll always be thankful. And Mom, Dad, I love you, I wish you were here. Thank you very much.